What's up, the squad? Back with another video. Y'all seen this title's going out. Make sure y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for me. Please, y'all see it in the video. So before we get in the video, I definitely want to tell y'all, I remember this. I'm sure many of y'all remember this when Alyssa Farah Griffin said that, you know, she will wear a MAGA hat, you know, and one thing about it is that I better see it happen. I'm not even gonna lie. I better see it happen. We all remember this. And people, when it comes to stuff like this, you don't forget. Especially people that obviously support Trump. You know, you're not gonna forget this. But for the ones that don't, that didn't know this happened, didn't see this, check it out.
Single thing, a 5-alarm fire. Yeah. If he does good, if he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say, thank you for doing it. Yeah. She'll knock it right off my head. But like, you have to be able to cheer for wins when they happen and then call out relentlessly the wrongdoing.
Well, I mean, and you heard exactly what she just said. Not only did she say she'll wear a Trump hat, but she said that, you know, they have to call out these wins. Have to call out these wins. So you have it here. 20 living hostages released. Big thanks to President Trump. Check it out. Definitely amazing.
And this was the scene at the Israeli parliament just a few hours ago. Take a look.
After 2 harrowing years in darkness and captivity, 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families. Generations from now, this will be remembered as the moment that everything began to change, and change very much for the better. Now at last, not only for Israelis, but also for Palestinians and for many others, the long and painful nightmare is finally over.
So 1,700 Palestinian prisoners have also been released and reunited with their families. And as of this morning, there is no fighting in Gaza. And so I think
it's been a minute and 38 seconds. Obviously, the first part of the video, they didn't, you know, show them. They showed, you know, videos, you know, but still, no thank you to President Trump is crazy. But I do want to say, as far as, you know, that on my behalf, you know, I'll speak up for the ladies. And I definitely want to say, you know, thank you, President Trump. It's not hard to say that. You know, it's not hard to say thank you, President Trump. That should have been the first thing out of these ladies' mouths, honestly.
We can all pray that it stays that way. Yeah. So, there we are.
And that's exactly right. Listen, if this peace deal holds, which I pray that it does, it's historic. It is a massive diplomatic achievement. And I think the whole world can breathe a sigh of relief because for many of us, knowing people who were, I met with some of the hostage families and how hard this was for them for the last 2 years. There's not a Jew across the world who didn't feel personally impacted by the events of October 7th. And these 20 that were released, never knowing if they would get that day. There's also the remains of hostages that are going to be repatriated to Israel. And then for the innocent Palestinians who've been caught in the crossfire of this war that Hamas, a terrorist organization, started, they are getting aid. They're promised 600 trucks of food per day are going to be rolling into Gaza. So people who have been starving, who have had no reason that they should have been involved in this conflict, are going to get the aid they need. I think everyone should be able to celebrate it. And listen, whether you like Trump or not, I think Steve Witkoff and I think Jared Kushner do deserve credit for this deal. They actually personally met with Hamas. I used to be of the mind we don't negotiate with terrorists, but sometimes the only way to get peace is to sit down with some of the most evil people and try to come up with what we can do to end the bloodshed. So thank God, I pray that this peace holds.
Yeah. Well,
So as you can see, Alyssa Farah Griffin did. What makes me mad about it is that she didn't, you know, wear. But I mean, it's no surprise. One thing about it though is that she did, in fact, acknowledge President Trump, you know, in a little, you know, sense of giving him credit, you know, where credit is due. But, you know, still no thank you. And that's wild to me. I ain't even gonna lie.
That Hamas has no power. One thing they kept sticking on every time these ceasefires didn't work is they did not want to cede power because they had their tunnel system and they were using their citizens as human shields, and the devastation, they did not want to hand it over, and then they were destroyed. They really had no choice, but I think the speech we saw today is going to hold to account also Prime Minister Netanyahu, because Donald Trump went on record saying there are things that Israel now needs to do as well. So this deal was a compromise. Neither side got everything they wanted, but most importantly, those hostages are home, aid is flooding into Gaza, and Hamas has no power ever again in that area.
My thing is that they sit here and they keep saying this and this. I feel like it's just one of those things. Y'all know they're not gonna, it's no surprise they're not gonna sit there and thank President Trump. But I guarantee if it was Biden, if it was Kamala, Barack Obama, they'll do everything in their power to make this a big deal, a really big episode of that revolves around them. But since they have so much hate towards Trump, there's no thanking. There's not, anything. You don't really hear Trump's name. You hear more of Trump's name on a regular episode when it has nothing to do with Trump than right now when Trump actually did something. And that's what makes me mad about it. Like, how do you sit here and you bash Trump about something? Things that, he hasn't even done, the lies that they say, this, that, and the other. But then when he actually does something, and does something for, and the crazy thing is that he continues to do many, many things ever since stepped foot in that office. But, they're and they see that, but doing something like this, even more amazing, they still don't give him that acknowledgement that, he needs. And that's wild to me.
I'm cautiously optimistic because we've been here before and then it's gone wrong. And I pray that this time it's different. I stayed up last night until, 2 or 3 in the morning watching the first batch of hostages as they were released. And I love that there was a split screen that was showing the joy of the hostages being released, but also the throngs of people from Gaza walking back, a sea of people walking back into that city that's rubble. And you think of all the suffering, just 2+ years of relentless, unending, unimaginable suffering. The families suffering, the victims suffering, the hostages suffering, the people who've had to flee Gaza, the innocent ones suffering. And for what? For what purpose? Were these 2 years of such pain? So, honestly, let me just quote John Lennon. Can we please just try to give peace a chance?
Yeah.
And that's one thing, I definitely want peace, but when you sit here and you constantly on, this broadcast and you're constantly being negative about something, like every time, each of them has spoken, they've said, I hope that this deal and everything is peaceful. I hope that, it's still they give that sense of negativity. That sense of negativity, like I want more to happen. Just so we can talk crazy about Trump because of what he did. A deal actually going bad. They want that. They actually want that. And it's sad that they do that. Rather than speaking positive about it, acknowledging President Trump and thanking him for what he did is crazy to me.
I think we've said it all. It's just as a faithful person, it has been my daily prayer.
Faithful person.
That there be peace there. And
see what I mean?
I remain a faithful person that this truly is the dawn of peace in the Middle East. I truly hope that this will be a lasting peace there.
And also, it's good to be able to say to people, remember the Palestinians are separate from Hamas.
Yeah.
Remember, they were not able to vote. They could not do anything. They had no rights in their country. So it's good that we have all been able to say, oh, okay, that's the difference here. The winners are now all the families who get to come home, all the families who are gathering their people to them. That's the win. So yeah, let's hope, like Walter Cronkite used to say when I was little, on Christmas Eve, he would say, tonight, there is peace in the world.
Yeah.
So right now, we're saying, today, tonight.
Whoopi just says a whole bunch of BS, bro. Nobody like this. This would be making me mad. Like the things that she says, like take all this stuff that they're saying. I completely get. Prayers go out to the families. I'm happy for the families. All of that. I'm not even gonna lie. But when you don't acknowledge the president of the United States for doing something like this, no matter like put aside all the hate, put aside all I don't like President Trump for this, for that, for that. This is something that is positive to others as well. Obviously, you can see on how happy others are about this, you know. But when you have people like them, you had Sunny Hostin speaking, talking about, I just hope that it's peace. And she's repeating herself multiple times because they don't want to acknowledge President Trump. You know, and again, it's no surprise, but it's definitely sad that they sit here and not, you know, have that just that positivity, you know, when it comes down to it. And thank President Trump. I know I keep saying that, but I feel like, bro, like that is wild to me. I don't know about y'all, but I really feel like that's wild to me. That you literally can't sit here and acknowledge that. I mean, you literally have, it's clear that Palestinian hostages' lives don't matter as much. Somebody commented, says, I'll wait for them to thank Donald Trump. Thank you, President Trump, for this, and no thanks to Biden and Kamala. So you literally have people in their comments actually thanking President Trump. Says can't give Trump credit though. These women are such cowards. And these are all this is all the top comments, y'all. Y'all can go look at these comments. Not a Trump fan, but what a miracle. And I feel like that's something. Those are things that they could have said. You know, when it came down to it, I definitely feel like these are things that they could have said. You know, they could have said that. You know, they know how. You know, Whoopi could have said, "Oh, I know how I feel about. You know, y'all know how I feel about President Trump. You know, but at the same time, it's great that, you know, he did." There's a lot of things they could have said. And like I said, I'm not surprised that they didn't, but it's definitely sad that they can't be adult enough, you know, to acknowledge and thank President Trump for what he's done. And that's just wild to me. But y'all already know. Let me know y'all comments, thoughts down below. Definitely appreciate y'all. Much love, everybody. Catch y'all next one.